Hello everybody, I'm Jeff Toe, Global Head of Insurance at Salesforce, and it is my true pleasure to welcome my good friend Han Yik from the World Economic Forum. Now Han, you and I go way back. In fact, we were grade school classmates.
Yeah, let's not say how long ago.
It's great to cross paths with you again as grown men. But let's start off with who the World Economic Forum is and what they do.
So the World Economic Forum is the premier international organization for public sector and private sector collaboration. And our annual meeting in Davos really represents the culmination of what we do on an annual basis throughout the year in terms of our projects and work streams. And our mission is improving the state of the world.
What is your specific role within the World Economic Forum? Could you tell us a little bit about what you do?
So I'm head of institutional investors at the World Economic Forum. In that capacity, I work with the large asset owners of the world, the sovereign wealth funds and the big government pension funds primarily.
So you actually have a unique perspective into government policy as much as what's going on in the private sector.
I'm lucky to have that role in that I get to explore some of the broad macroeconomic themes and what they mean on a regional basis and of course what they mean on a global basis.
So you were recently in Davos among other financial services leaders. What were some of the things that you've learned and what's top of mind for them? Investment
Returns over the past 5-7 years has been very strong, but political uncertainty is definitely top of mind and what that will mean for the markets.
In addition to that, what other forces of change are impacting financial services?
One of the big themes that we also focus on at the World Economic Forum is the fourth industrial revolution. And we're talking about how digital innovation has transformed industries. And what we've done at the World Economic Forum around that issue is formed a global center for the fourth industrial revolution in San Francisco. And later this year, we're rolling out affiliate centers around the world in China, in Japan, in India. And the idea behind that is there should be regulation around some of these new technologies, such as self-driving vehicles and such as drone technology even. We've formed a platform, a way for the public sector and the private sector behind those technologies, a safe place where they can collaborate and work out what the key issues are so they can work on the regulations together in an informed way.
So I noticed that another force of change that the World Economic Forum focuses on is the demographic shifts that are happening.
We're living far beyond what these retirement systems were intended to provide for. We need to reevaluate what our working lifetimes need to be and what the nature of retirement needs to be.
What are some of the key drivers behind the worsening gap? I believe you call it the pension gap, is that, or the retirement savings gap?
Yes. On the liability side, the key driver of that, it's what you owe or what people need in terms of living off of in retirement. And on the asset side of the equation, the trend worldwide has been to shift from traditional defined benefit pension plans to personal savings vehicles. Looking at our analysis, we originally intended it to be more of an investment focus, but we soon realized as we looked at the global nature of the issue that expanding access, making sure people who have zero coverage are covered to some extent, will help close the gap at a much higher rate than increasing investment returns.
What is the role of financial institutions in addressing the problem of financial literacy?
If you look at the three stakeholders, it's governments, corporations or businesses, and households, individuals. And in the past, I would say the responsibility was very much a burden of governments and or companies in terms of providing these benefits. Through changes in regulations, changes in pension plan designs, that pendulum has swung very much towards the individual. Individuals now bear so much responsibility, so it is very important that they be financially literate. If the nature of work itself is changing, the nature of employment, look at the gig economy, look at how those trends are going, then we need to reevaluate what financial security means and how one goes about saving for it, and that requires financial literacy.
What role will technology play in enabling all of this, and what could companies like Salesforce and technology companies like us do to accelerate that technology change?
Target date funds were something that were developed a few years ago back that have helped in terms of being a smarter allocation for individuals in a lot of ways so that they don't have to do the rebalancing themselves in terms of equities versus fixed income. But robo-advisors, and with the advent of AI and machine learning, can take that to even the next level where you have autonomous technology that can help manage assets on a more efficient basis for the long term.
We talked about political risks, we talked about the rapid change of technology, we talked about demographic shifts, we talked about consumer expectations. What is the call to action to senior executives and financial institutions?
So all three, work, retirement, and healthcare, are all interrelated in this. Employers, financial services firms, governments, everyone needs to re-examine what this means as we move to economies where instead of working at one company for life and that company then takes care of your needs at the end of life, where does that responsibility lie between the three stakeholders? As I mentioned, government, companies, and households, and finding that right balance.
Well, thank you so much, Han, for joining us. It was a huge pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.